Alright, so I get a lot of comments from people asking me to show them how magic works in this game, but I don't know if people realize there's already a magical tutorial. I'm still going to give you a basic crash course in this video on how magic works in Godherja, just so you have a basic understanding, but I want to show everybody that you can actually pull up the tutorial. You might have already clicked off of it forever ago, but basically you just go here, reset reactive advice, go over here, and then boom, you're going to have this pop up, Magic 101, and it's going to basically give you a very brief introduction to what magic is. It's going to have you click on your character, and it's going to discuss the different aspects. Now, for our character, we have fire, we have water, we have stone, we have dream, we have celestial, we have light, we have blood, and we have ethereal. Now, they have a magic school called the Chance of the Tomb, which is a school of magic for Demotans specifically. If you want to know where you can see these magical schools, the easiest way to check that would be to go to whatever culture you happen to be. I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And it'll tell you what sort of magical schools are unique to that culture. So for example, let me see, I'll go over here. They have living and dead magic. Living and dead magic. If I come over here, they'll probably wood law and silent speak, which is fog magic. If I go over here, there's probably the illuminated order of the most holy principles, which is based off of, which is just Chevalier magic, I think specifically. And then there's a few other ones, obviously. There's a bunch of magic schools, but that's how you determine if you wanted to check, maybe you wanted to learn a spell, you'd have to check somebody's culture. But we'll talk about learning spells in a second. So this is our aspect, this is our spells. It wants us to click on our magic, which the easiest way to do that is here. And this is where you can cast spells. Now, casting spells, obviously there's a ton of different things that go into this. You have your magic meter down here, which tells me that my maximum magic is 150 out of 150, my maximum threshold being about 250. I have 3 levels of exposure, which will cause various debuffs. And we can see, actually, well, let me cross out of this. We can see that per month I'm getting about 7.5 or 5% of my magic regen per month. That is based on a number of factors, including your, basic traits that you get from birth, and then other things like exceptional magi, but also your school. So for example, if I was going to do a lifestyle of Arcana, which it is recommending to me because I have an Arcana of 17, you can also get faster regen from this. So I'm just going to do Cognition Focus. That gives me a plus 25% magic regen, so now I'm at 9.3 or 6%. There's various ways you can improve your magic regen. There's items that do it too, but that's just like a basic rundown. Now to cast magic, it's basically as simple as going into something and then just hitting cast. Now, I don't have a ton of magic that wouldn't be harmful to somebody, but I'm still going to do one just for the example of showing you. So for this person, I'm just going to use them. I'm going to add them to my magical targets. And I'm going to cast, you say I don't like them, right? I'm going to cast Summon Fog. It has a 0% chance of casting, so I'm going to have to increase it. And see, this right here, this basically allows me to increase the amount of aspect or overcharge the spell, as it were, to increase the likelihood of it succeeding. It doesn't necessarily work any better every time, but this one has a 0% chance, so I'm not even going to try. But we'll just say I cast a spell, and now I've gotten Minor Exposure Sickness, which, as you can see, gives you a variety of debuffs, and that is how that works. Now, let's say, for example, you wanted to learn a spell. I'm going to go over here, just because this might be the easiest way for me to do so. And I have 2 people have Dirges of the Burned and Broken. This guy looks like he's a little better, so we're gonna hire this guy. So say he's got a spell. Let's go through his spell list. Let's go through his spell list real fast. Say I want to get Scorching Sun. Okay, I'm going to go over here. I'm going to go to Learn Magic. And I'm going to get, well, Animate Golem could be cool too, but we're going to get Scorching Sun. I'm going to say I want to start that scheme. We're going to do that. Now, say I have some children, and they have Exceptional Magi, but they don't have any spells, right, at the moment. They don't know how to do anything. What you need to do is you got to go over here, and you have to have your Court Magi tutor them. You can educate your child as well. You can obviously also set them to be arcane focused, which I think might also let you teach them spells, but I'm not actually positive on that. But the easiest thing to do would just be, educate your children with the Court Magi, and as far as I'm aware, this is the only way to teach them spells. But they can also do a scheme to learn spells, and I'll show you how to do that in a second. That's sort of a basic rundown. You can also cast spells on yourself, like if you, add yourself to magical targets. Go down here, I'm going to remove this guy, and say I wanted to cast Necromantic Vitality on myself. I can't because I don't have any money, but, as an example, I could do that. Now, let's say, for example, again, this video is going to be really brief, but let's say, for example, I'm just going to switch over to him. I'm going to switch over to him really fast. Let's say I'm playing as Nicodemus, but he only has basic Magi and doesn't have a school. So I'm going to search for a Magi. I don't have to do this, it's just the easiest way for me to get one in here so I can show you. And I'm going to do this guy because he's got Living Magic, which is what I want to do. I'm going to go here and I'm going to learn Magical School, which is going to start a scheme on my court magi, where I will hopefully be able to learn living magic, and then I will be able to cast spells. I'll learn a few spells, and then over time I can acquire more spells. You don't necessarily have to just have the spells that your school is. Like if you have aspects for the other ones, if I'm not mistaken, let's see, there's a guy over here who's really good as well. He might be a good person to show as an example. All right, so this guy, the Accursed, he's a really good dead magi. But if you have aspects for other schools, you can also cast those schools pretty well. So just as an FYI, like you don't have to only know how to cast schools from your one main magic tree. I have all sorts of stuff. I can get a skeletal artifact. That actually sounds really cool. Let's see what that does. Just to see. Oh, I have to have provide bones, which I do not have. Oh wait, hold on. I'm gonna add myself to magical targets. It looks like I didn't get anything. Still didn't get anything. Darn. But basically, I've heard people complain about this system before, and what I want to mention is that the gold cost is made intentionally so that you can't just spam magic. It would be really easy for them not to put a limitation or not to put things like exposure sickness in, but then you would sort of lose this. It's a very small cost. If you're having trouble acquiring like 20 gold or even anything else, it's really not that hard to get 20 gold. And neither is it hard to regen that much magic. Like this guy, he's got 5% monthly regen. It's only going to take, what, a year to do one powerful spell. And that's not really that bad. In lore, you're not supposed to be able to do magic that quickly anyway. It has great cost to not only the user, but the world, as you've seen. So magic is something that's taken a lot more seriously than I think in other mediums. So I think that's what people's issue is, but I wanted to sort of clarify that. Like, magic is not meant to be spammed. It doesn't have, like, necessarily permanent effects, but it does have some really impressive ones. Like, for example, let me see if I can switch to one that uses... So let's say I was playing as this character. I don't even think I can, but one of the cool things they can do is like summon fog. But one of my favorite ones, which he actually doesn't have this spell. Oh, no, he does. Summon lesser fog beasts. This thing is insane. The men-at-arms trait of those fog beasts are literally ridiculous. I don't know if you get to keep them forever, but even just in a pinch, that would quite literally save your game. I had switched to this guy because I thought maybe he was magical, but he's not. He's just really big. That's kind of my basic overview of magic. You basically have your regional schools, which you can find through the culture map. As I've said, you just click on whatever culture you are, and you can go to the magic tree, and then you can find whatever schools you happen to, whatever schools they happen to generally have. Like over here, there's different ones as well. That doesn't necessarily mean those are the only ones you can learn. It's just the ones that are usually in that area as far as I know. And then to learn spells, you simply have to scheme on your court magi or, whoever you happen to have in your kingdom or who is near enough to you to where you can scheme on them. I could probably scheme on somebody over here, but I couldn't scheme on somebody like, say, I couldn't scheme on Ace Race over here wherever he's hiding. I can never remember. But I hope this is helpful. It's a really basic overview, but again, if you ever need to recheck on these things, like if you want to remember how to do hunting, which is pretty long, you can just go up here and then, just click on it. And remember, if you wanted to reset that, say you forgot something, you could just go down here to game, hit reset reactive advice, and it'll all pop back up at the top for you. So I'm hoping that is helpful to you. That is going to be it for this one. I'm Sol. This has been a crash course in magic for Godherja. I hope it was useful again, and I will happily see you in the next one.